Andrew Alvarez here, the Latino conservative. Andrew Alvarez here, the Latino conservative. Coming to you all the way from Livermore, California. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I went back to Cali. So, a few days ago, I saw an article make its way around the interwebs, and it's still making its round. Elizabeth Warren unveils $640 billion debt-free education bill. $640 billion. That's a lot of money, but we'll get more into that later. I have that bill right here, and I'll leave a link in the description so you can download it for yourself. Let's get to the nitty-gritty of this. I first saw this article Monday, April the 22nd, and it was dated for that same date. It said, Monday, Elizabeth Warren unveiled the bill. That would have put it at April the 15th. The bill was actually reintroduced by Hawaiian Democratic Brian Schatz that was first introduced a year earlier. Elizabeth Warren just co-sponsored it, which means she basically just put her name on it too. She saw something pretty, thought it could get her a lot of votes because it sounded freaking phenomenal, and said, "Yep, that's mine too." Other 2020 presidential candidate contenders that co-sponsored this bill are Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Kristen Gillibrand, but they weren't mentioned anywhere in the article that I saw. The article was published by the Associated Press, so I wonder if it should have ended with paid for by the Associated Press. Since according to the FEC, when a super PAC pays for a campaign piece, they have to give a disclaimer as to who paid for it. Could the other contenders file a suit and disqualify Elizabeth Warren from the presidential elections? Okay, so back to the bill. Warren's plan would cancel up to $50,000 in student loan debt for an estimated 42 million Americans and invest in debt-free college for students attending 2 or 4-year public institutions. It also comes with a hefty price tag of $1.25 trillion over 10 years, and Warren plans to pay for it with the ultra-millionaire tax she introduced in January, which would tax the 75,000 wealthiest families in America. Ladies and gentlemen, that's socialism. Socialism is basically the government having a right to tell you how to spend your money. And I have a right to your money too. You're wrong for making more money than I do. Other socialist countries are China, India, North Korea. People may argue that China has a great economy because they see all these tags that say, made in China. Okay, valid point. But did you know that in 2016, China had over 43 million people still living on $335 a year? We could barely live on that a week. This brings me to a point of income inequality, which is total BS. And I won't say much more on this then. Bill Gates hasn't made anyone poor because he's rich. He did not force anyone to buy his product. Bill Gates pays people. He pays their salary. So back to the bill. The actual bill says that the student has to apply for the grant, then the school has to apply for the grant, then the state has to apply for the grant. The state gets approved, then the school gets approved, then the student gets the funds, finally. Sounds good though. $640 billion. Each entity, whether it's the state, the school, has to remain eligible for the money. In other words, the government has the right to tell a state or school that they are not eligible to receive the funds for whatever reason they want. This gives the government a chance to dictate what is taught at the school level. And again, this is for continuing education for college. But just this week, I saw that the Austin School District just released a survey to the students that tells the 3rd to 11th grade students gender is how someone feels. I'm sorry? You have no right to tell my child that. You have no right telling my child that there are more than 2 genders, period. That is a right, that is a point that violates my rights as a Christian, and it is essentially wrong. I'm sorry, people, but it's either XX or XY. Gender and sex have been the same thing up until the recent movement that's been going on. Nothing against any individual's choice, but a school will not tell my child that. I'll homeschool. If elementary education can be allowed to do this, imagine what the government will be allowed to mandate if schools and states want to remain eligible for the funds. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a threat to all of our values. As for the debt currently owned by individual student loans, how about making student loans eligible to be discharged in a bankruptcy? I know plenty of people who have paid their debt. How is it fair to them? Does the bill allow for reimbursement for paid student loans? It doesn't. This bill sounds great. I say that a lot because it really and truly does sound kind of great. This announcement, though, was nothing more than a bid to get votes by Elizabeth Warren. And she did nothing more than put her name on the bill and said, we're going to tax the uber rich, making the uber rich people wrong for being rich and making the not uber rich victims for the uber rich people being rich. Remember the last time a presidential candidate did something like this? Read my lips. No new taxes. But what happened? New taxes happened, but he won. Basically, all Democratic presidential candidates put their name on this bill, or I'll put it in current terms, they liked the bill. Elizabeth Warren was just the first to share it. If Congress can tag themselves in a bill that would allow $640 billion in free education, why did they have such a hard time parting with $5 billion and shutting down the government earlier this year? That $5 billion isn't even 2% of the amount that they want to give to education. It's only 0.8%. This bill is nothing but a hype up. My personal opinion, and yes, it's just opinion, I think it was introduced by Brian Schatz because more than half of Hawaiian students go to college out of state. Hawaii's rankings, quite frankly, are not the best either. So, thank you again for your time. Take a second to like and share this video. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and turn on alerts. Again, my name is Andrew Alvarez, and I'm the Latino conservative. Thank you very much.